Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 12th, 2022 at approximately 6:24 a.m. BST. Time to get finances working in the right direction. And when I talk about right, I don't mean my direction. I mean working in the direction that you are personally content with. Now, understand, okay, I returned to this world for one reason and one reason only, for one primary reason. And that is to simply pass on one message to everyone in existence. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I classify myself as a spiritual guide. And what I mean by that is the tools I offer here are ones I'm personally using, and the philosophies of life that I talk about are the ones I personally live by. Now, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and and share it with everybody you can. Because when I talk about meeting you, sharing it with everyone, I'm referring to literally everybody, no matter whether they have technology. I don't care. It doesn't matter whether they're human. Okay, your fuzzy little four-legged family members and your four-legged friends, the flying ones, all of them, they are still people, as are your plants. Okay, as well as energies and what have you. But we're going to look at today working on strictly the material world, working on your house. Now, this is the first tool, and I use this all the time. Okay, that little sign, I've got one of these in my office, obviously. I've got one in my kitchen on the fridge, on the freezer, freezer door. Okay, now the one in my office is so that I can see it whenever I'm working. It keeps reminding me that I am worth the effort. Just like you're told helping other people is worth the effort. It feels great helping other people. Well, I will tell you, it feels great helping other people, absolutely. But the feeling of helping yourself is phenomenal. Now, in religious circles, they talk about, especially if you're Christian, they talk about Christ turning around and feeding an entire multitude with a couple of fish and a loaf of bread. Well, here's the thing. Okay, there's a neat little saying that goes, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. Now, I've lived on the edge of poverty basically my entire life. Okay, and right now money is fluctuating, but if I had actually had somebody sit down with me and not only show me how to deal with finances, okay, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about my parents not telling me anything of this. Okay, but even my parents made this comment, had this philosophy: you don't share your finances with your kids. They've got enough to worry about. Well, rest assured, if you don't share your finances and how you're dealing with the tough times with your kids, how are they possibly going to learn until they get out in the real world and go through the same thing? Okay, so I've got this sign. I am worth it. On in my office, I've got one in the kitchen, and the reason I put it on the fridge is because it's the one appliance in the entire house that it doesn't seem to matter who you are. You walk in, even if all that is on the fridge is the logo, people seem to stop and read it. Thereby, you put that sign on the fridge, and everybody reads it. It helps them as well. Now I've got a third one on my front door. Okay, so that when anybody comes over to my place, the first thing they read is not welcome. It is I am worth it. I mean, absolutely, there is the issue of being welcome, right? But the fact of the matter is, those four words are the most powerful words I've come across this lifetime in any language regarding rebuilding self-esteem, self-worth, self-motivation, self-direction. Okay, it just covers a whole lot. Now, the second tool that I strongly recommend is this one. And you'll notice it's within arm's reach for me. Okay, now we're talking about a household here, right? So, this little sign, now this 3,800, understand, it takes me 2,500 to run my household. Okay, to run my household and business combined, quite frankly. So, with that in mind, this number here is representing my target number. You start with your base. Okay, whatever it costs you to run your house. This is your rent or mortgage, your utilities, one credit card that classifies as a utility. Okay, your entertainment, your food, your insurance, your transportation. Okay, and I'm probably missing a few things, but everything that it costs you, and let's not forget, say, a little for savings. Okay, for me it costs 2,500, but you'll notice it says 38 here. So the sign you write down, calling this X, we have legally acquired a minimum of $3,800 by May 31st, 2020, 23:59. Well, 23:59 is military time from 1 minute to midnight. Now, because I run my own business, on the same sheet, obviously, because, well, take a look at it, I've got Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $700 by May 31st, 2022 at 23:59. Now, that 700 I'm talking about here is included in this overall household income. Okay, you keep that handy, but that 25 I was talking about to start with, where I've got the 38, that is what it costs you to run your entire household. And if you're running a household business, that is covered in that number. That's first and foremost. That's tool number 2. Now, repeated this many times, but I have found that by repeating things, it does slowly sink in. Now, on this little list here, okay, and this is tool number 3. And you'll notice we come up with this same little issue of being built in threes. Okay, so the third tool is this list here. Now, I don't expect you to read it. I don't even know. Yeah, you can read it, sort of. Okay, that is a list. There's 6 items, and you'll notice that there are little check marks beside the first 3. Because what you do is you write down the first three tasks that come to mind. Those 3, you keep them to 15-minute to half-hour tasks. Okay, so that you can get them checked off, and when you get one checked off, check it off, it's done. Add a third one to the bottom of the list. Okay, so I got those 3 done, and now on my list right now, I've got recording the journey. Okay, then I've got posting the journey. Then I've got get son's lunch. Well, the son's lunch is simple. His mom and I are divorced, but she still makes his lunch on a regular basis. So I just go over to her place and get it. Okay, as each of these get checked off, and in all fairness, because I'm working on the journey right now, as things come to mind, I'm going to add things to this list. The specifics on them don't really matter. Okay, because the list is for your house. Now, where do you start? Well, that's the easy part. You're in front of your computer right now. Well, maybe. If you're sitting down and you're not driving, then you can do this right away. Okay. If you're driving, thank you for joining us, but for pity's sakes, keep your hands on the wheel. And hopefully you're on the speakerphone. Okay. Always important that you find that you take care of the necessities. Now, I only deal with 3 laws. Okay. Those 3 laws. Okay. Compare these laws to the ones you follow, whether they are religious, spiritual, legal, family-oriented, philosophy, personal philosophy, self-help, support groups, whatever. take a look at the laws that you're dealing with and compare them to these three, because these are the only three I ever deal with. But you'll find that all of yours fit inside these three. If you find one that doesn't, absolutely do me a favor and drop me a line in the comments below or drop me a private line. But the three laws I go by are: be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. Okay, and again, we have that recurring pattern of three. Now, for me, it really boils down to this: get an idea in your head and get moving on it. Okay, now don't forget, when you're talking about this list, something to keep in mind is you've got to take care of your health, as in you've got to take care of things like breakfast. You've got to take a break in from time to time. Okay, but remember, taking a break means the majority of what you're doing during the day. If you're a stay-at-home mom, okay, your day is going to be busy anyway, but there's nothing wrong with taking a break periodically while you're taking care of the house. And the thing about taking care of a house, I hear way too many couples where one is doing a job, they're out working. You ask them, what does your other half do? Oh, she just stays at home and takes care of the house. And I'm telling you, if you're taking care of a house, that is more work than most of the jobs out there. Do not let anybody tell you that job is of little to no value. Oh, they only do this. And for those of you that think that taking care of a house is just, oh, my wife or my husband only takes care of the house, trade them jobs. Okay, because there's a lot more to it. That's just the reality behind it. Forgot one that I dealt with this morning. Well, two that I've already dealt with this morning. So I'm keeping this list handy because I know there's a bunch of things that while I'm talking to you, I'm going to have to deal with. Okay. And there'll be home things and business things because I got a lot of work to do. This funny little book here. Okay. This is where I do my hard copy writing for the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay, and I've still got about 10 or 15 pages left that are already written that have to be moved into soft copy so that I can work with them. So when I'm talking about this list, so like in this case, my list is going to get a little longer than just the three items. And I probably won't get them done in the right order, but I'm going to mark them down anyway because I'm sitting here talking about it. And the trick to running your house is to get organized, to really understand that taking care of things one step at a time will get them out of the way. Now, where it came to finances, I was told by my father, you take care of the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. I never really got the message. Okay. Until recently, that is. And I mean, that's pretty sad when you think about the fact that he passed away 5 years ago. Right. He passed away 6 years ago, sorry. Back in 2016, he passed away. My mother passed away in 2019, and my eldest brother just passed away a couple of months ago, back in March. Okay, but I finally got the message. And the reality is, by getting that message, that 3,800 that I talked about, I was working on it anyway, but this little number here, I keep increasing that every time I hit that goal. Okay, and we'll get to that part on another day because we're going down this other road right now. But right now, I've got, and this is why I just added it. Here's an idea when I first get up in the morning. Okay, first challenge of the day, and this is the thing that really gets your physical world in order. Okay, because you're going to be facing challenges, you're going to be facing obstacles. But let's get your first challenge, your first obstacle of the day dealt with. Okay, that is literally, you get, as soon as your eyes focus enough that you can see, get out of bed, get done what you have to do, and make your bed. Okay, now there's a whole lot more that goes with that, dealing with the home. But when dealing with the when dealing with when dealing with the house, okay, you still have to do that before you go any further. Now, I've got a list here of things I've got to deal with. And I just got a ding. I don't know if you heard it, but my phone's sitting right here. And it just gave me a ding telling me one of the items I've got to do as soon as I get done with the journey. I've got another contract I have to deal with that I just got to call in to get it dealt with. So as soon as I get off the journey, yes, I did say that I've got to go get my son's lunch. Okay, I've just added one that has to be done before that, and that's his contract deal. So you add to the list. Okay, and I'm going to end up with 6 or 7 here. But the key is this: because you break them down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks. When you're done them, you can check them off and get dealt with. Okay. Once you get once you check them off, what you end up with is a list of goals that you've got that are already dealt with. So when you get to the end of the day, you can take a look at your work in your house and go, this is what I accomplished. This is quantifiable evidence that what I was aiming to do has been accomplished. I will tell you, it will make you feel immensely better about your efforts. That's the real kicker to this. See, the neat part about it is when you do that, you will feel so much better about your house. Now, finances, for me, it works out really well. Okay. I mean, talk about a bonus. I actually get my tomorrow. Like, I've got a list of, oh, can we try one thought at a time? What do you think? Oh, by the way, this is a live recording, meaning all the glitches, all the hiccups, any mistakes that I make while I'm talking, you're going to get them, because all I do when I get done this video is double check the date, make sure I got it right, and then carry on and post it. But I went through my financial books. Now, the actual tracking of the 3 major accounts, I checked this morning, and they are all on track. Now, the unfortunate part, let's see, where are we here? We are sitting at 2,000 there, yeah. 2007 at just over. Now, I am aiming by the end of this month, I've got to have those balances back up over the 8 grand mark, or over the 10 grand mark. But right now, okay, oh, what's the other one? And I didn't double check to see if this is on track yet. Mind you, this one's a royal pain. Okay, right now, what do I got? 5. I've got about $700 sitting on the credit card that I've also got to get cleared before the end of this month. Okay, because what happens, I get to the end of the month, I use my credit card to pay my utility bills, to do my grocery shopping, and this is why I said one credit card gets used for utilities, as it gets listed as a utility. You've got to clear it every month. Okay, so what I do is I bring in, like, my paycheck comes in, but I've got room on my credit card. So I turn around, I pay the utilities with the credit card. When my paycheck comes in, all that money goes off my paycheck onto the credit card. Because what happens by doing that is your credit card gets, your utilities all get paid, your credit card gets paid, and you still got, when you make that payment on the credit card, you still got the money from the credit card to carry on working with. Now, this is what has drawn me to where I am today. Now, I am no millionaire by any means, but I will tell you, I don't worry as much about finances the way I did. Now, to this end, okay, because I used to live one paycheck away from being on the street. Okay, right now, without doing any damage to me, roughly speaking, what do I got? I've got almost 3 months, access to 3 months of money without damaging my own bare minimum life. Because of that 8,000 that I've got sitting in the bank. Okay, I can only use 3 that's in the bank, but my credit card has an additional 6. Okay, so I'm looking at this going, this is why I don't worry too much about it. Okay, but there are goals that have to be, and there are things that have to be dealt with. Absolutely. Okay, and that really boils down to a planned attack. Okay, a planned focus. Now, something I meant to talk about, and I'll deal with that right now. I've already talked in the last couple of days about a purpose and a plan. Okay, now, the third part of that formula for success is persistence. And this is where this list comes in. Okay, is you have to realize it did not take you overnight in all likelihood to get to the state you're in. It likely took you, at least I'm hoping it took you, a number of years to get there. It certainly took you a number of years to develop the habits, good or bad, that you operate with. So you've got to have the persistence when you slip off track. Get back on the bike, as it were, get back on the horse, get back off the wagon, however you want to call it, and go back to the basics that work. And I'm telling you, believe it or not, this list works. Okay. It's worked for a staggering number of people. I actually got this list. Where I got this list idea from was a very well off. He was a multimillionaire. And he pulled this list out of his pocket and he goes, "Look, this is what you do. And I'm just passing it on to you. I did not come up with the idea. Most of the ideas I come up with, in all fairness, are garnered from somebody else that has already successfully done this. Okay, just on a really odd note, you want to the reality behind impact, behind social impact. The most powerful word in any task. Okay, whenever you're dealing with people, the most powerful word in dealing with people is their name. Assuming you, well, no, scratch that. It is their name. If you use it in a positive tone, you get much better response. If you use it in a negative one, you'll get much worse response. It is nonetheless the most powerful word, the most powerful single word in dealing with people. Now, this is coming from somebody that, frankly, I'm working on becoming less of a recluse. So what happens is a lot of this writing I do. Okay, this I do literally at one restaurant. I go down to that restaurant, and that's where I have my coffee. That's where I do my writing. But it gets me out of the house and talking to people. Okay, now the nice part about it is when you have this persistent thing down and you're constantly doing the same thing. This is why I continually repeat myself on this. Is hopefully it will sink in, and you'll be able to tweak that part of your life just enough to change the path it's on. But it's not for me to tell you if it's a good path for you or a bad one. I can tell you whatever path you're on. If you talk to me about what you're doing and where you're running into a snag, I can absolutely clarify that and give you a different direction. I've done it for years. I've been working in the consulting field myself, okay, since I was 10. Publicly since I was 10, professionally, as in generating an income, since I was 23. But being persistent in your efforts, continually going to the things that work. If you get off track, and you will get off track, okay, as soon as you realize you're off track, turn around and go back to the basics. Get back on that track again. Okay, now I've got to put together, let's see if I've got this right. Where are we? Just looking at time frames. Okay, now I know I've got the 10 left from the Yldrbac Chronicles. I've got 10 left from the Believe In Chronicle, the Believe In series. I've got 2 children's books I'm working on. I've got 1 on exactly the formula for success. I've got 1 on how to handle finances, 1 on how to track finances, 1 on how to handle finances, another reference manual regarding alien races. Okay, and there are 2 more books, 2 more additional books to the Yldrbac Chronicles. These are standalone stories I'm working on. Now, right off the top of my head, let's see here. Yeah, we'll start there. Oh, yes, and of course, we have the 2 books on the 2 reference manuals that explain the difference in where the flaws in standard astrology and standard numerology are. Okay, so we've got 1, 10, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. So, right now that I can think of off the top of my head, I am in the process of literally writing. Oh, there's another one. Literally writing 31 books at the same time. Okay, so with that in mind, when you take that into consideration, that I thought it was right. Yeah, I was writing 32 and then I published 2 of them. I was writing 30. Yeah, I was writing 32. The last I did this, last time I counted the books I was working on, this one was still not in print. Okay, that is part of the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay, but when I did the last count, that book was still not in print. Okay, which is why it's there now, why I've got the lower number. But this is a question of pick your goals and start working on them. Now, with that in mind, we're just hitting the half-hour mark, so I will leave you to it. I will catch up with you again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive